To do everything that everyone else does is so important. We want to learn and play and work the same way everyone else does.
These are the stories.
There is a foundation out there that helps you get back into it.
Of organizations making a difference.
What really limits our ability to do something is people's imagination.
And empowering others across Canada.
When I get into that sledge, I'm free, man. I'm playing hockey.
It's a great organization and it's worth supporting.
In our community.
I think it's very important that we have opportunities to be included in everyday life. My name is Doris Coop. I'm the Executive Director of Vision Impaired Resource Network, or VIRN. I have been vision impaired since birth. I have had cataract surgery prior to going to school. So I see very little out of the peripheral of my eyes. However, it is just the way things are, so I get around fairly well.
My name's Glenn Sepke. I'm a board member of the Vision Impaired Resource Network, VIRN. I've been vision impaired or totally blind since the age of 3. I lost the vision in one eye at 9 months and the other eye at the age of 3.
I'm Vic Pereira. I'm on the board of the Vision Impaired Resource Network, VIRN, and I have vision impairment since birth. And my condition is unknown. At the time, they weren't able to tell what it was.
Historically, the word blind has always meant and always been thought of as the public as a total loss of eyesight. The reality is that 8 out of 9 people who are legally blind have just low vision or still have some usable vision.
My experience is as a person with no usable vision. And I started to realize that I'm a minority within a minority. Like, 1 out of 9 people with vision impairment have no usable vision, but there's still 8 out of 9 people with a significant amount of usable vision.
Personally, I feel so bad for people if they feel left out. So it has made a huge influence onto how VIRN reacts to the community of people who have vision impairment.
Doris, Vic, and Glenn saw gaps in the support for people who are visually impaired. They decided to start an organization that doesn't leave anyone behind.
The 3 of us were on the board of another organization. We just thought that the philosophy of that organization needed to be broadened, and it wasn't within the scope of what we believed in and what we were trying to do. We did some research, talked to the community. We knew there would be a need for change. So we decided on a name, which is Vision Impaired Resource Network, and the acronym VIRN. And in 2011, we actually formed the organization and incorporated it to.
The Vision Impaired Resource Network, VIRN, is a nonprofit organization that focuses on providing positive experiences and information to build the confidence of people who are vision impaired to lead fully inclusive and productive lives.
We have 4 core building blocks: peer support, public education, active living, and training.
We're here to get you as part of the community. We want you to be comfortable at home, and we also want you to be comfortable and confident in the community. Introduce you to any active living programs you want or any training programs you need, and we'll make sure that you are valued and that you feel valued.
I'm Carolyn Miner. I work at the Millennium Library. This is my floor, the 2nd floor. I supervise the staff on this floor. We have a variety of collections here. We have customers with print disabilities particularly, but other accessibility issues that we cater to, and we provide services for our unique customers. VIRN has been using our spaces for meetings, and they also function in an advisory role for us if we have questions about services for people with print disabilities. And if I need some advice about how to provide services or some technology that I don't know how to use, I will often go to VIRN and ask them, can you come and show me how to do this? Or what do you think about this? What kind of service should we be providing?
We have a program called See If You Can, where we do go into schools, organizations, and do the education component. We always think that we want everybody to have the most positive experience with everything, and all of us are thinking about when we were children, how do we read together? So we thought, well, what should we do to make it as inclusive as possible? Getting back to our whole theme is always inclusion.
VIRN's book project takes select children's books, adds Braille and QR codes to them, while keeping the original imagery and text so that they are accessible to anyone.
Based on my experience as a parent, when my kids were small, I would add Braille labels to books so that I could read them with my children. But what was missing was the overall experience of understanding what pictures were there also. So we needed another medium to allow those people to access the book. Through the use of a QR code, anything that we put in Braille, i.e. the text of the book and the descriptions of the pictures, are encoded. A person can use a smartphone or a tablet to take a picture of the QR code.
Carson Crosses Canada by Linda Bailey and Cass Reich.
And then they can either hear the text read back to them, or in the case of people with low vision, they can adjust the contrast, the size of the text, etc., so that they can consume that same text in whatever way is most comfortable for them. The other thing about the books is that we always made sure that the Braille and the QR codes were opposite the picture and the print that they referred to, so that anyone interacting with the alternative ways of reading the book would not encroach upon the print page, where the person who you're sharing the book with is getting the same information at the same time.
I think the impact has become that people are realizing how important it is to actually have the opportunity to have this inclusive reading. People are starting to recognize that the book looks very similar to what the other books are on the shelf, and that's the big thing again. The books are beautiful. So I think people are realizing that this is something that's possible, and it's been very well received.
Our community will return after the break. We now return to our community.
Everybody's ready? All right. So once we start getting out of this little spot here, we will go to the Fort White, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to do today.
The active living part is so big because a lot of us didn't have those opportunities to take part in things like snowshoeing, paddling program, curling program, teaching people how to curl.
We've had successes in people who have been losing their vision, thinking they can no longer curl, and still continue to curl on a community team or still curl with their friends. Tandem cycling, it gets people outside and encourages communications between the pilot of a tandem bicycle as well as the person in the back, who we refer to as the stoker. The communication component of that, even if we're just crossing a street, just knowing how to talk to people, knowing what questions to ask, goes a long way, and the tandem cycling program really helps with that.
That's probably been one of my favorite things, because I know that that's something that I wanted to do. And I remember my mother saying to me that you can't ride a bike. You're going to have such a hard time. So she was a little bit protective of me of that one, and I'm not sure why. Everything else, she was like, go for it. And it's just been such a remarkable program. People come out each Wednesday from May to October, and they're part of something. Whether they're on the bike or not, it takes sometimes people a couple times to get on there, but when they're there, they're so happy. It's an aha moment, and we want everybody to have those.
We've gone to Fort White of Live, we're birding by ear, which does not single out a person with vision impairment, because even a lot of experienced bird watchers, that's how they do that.
When we're away from the crowds, we're going to slow down and we're going to get our ears open for birds. My name is Barrett Miller. I'm the Custom Programs and Tourism Coordinator at Fort White Alive. I got a call from VIRN about 18 months ago asking what winter activities we might have for folks with some degree of visual impairment. And it happened that that call came in just as we'd had a workshop on birding by ear. VIRN was willing to take a chance on Fort White. We took a chance on running this program and it clicked. It was amazing. It was so fun. As a staff person, it was one of my highlights of the winter. And for some of the VIRN folks from VIRN, they had a great experience as well. It's just sort of been a very good working relationship. I didn't realize that there's perhaps more barriers put up to people with some degree of visual impairment participating in outdoor adventure than I thought. And it's not necessarily by the outdoor education community or by the community of visually impaired folks. It just happens. There's not the linkage. Just creating that linkage was overcoming one of the biggest barriers.
I find when we're out doing an active living session such as snowshoeing, the public often acts in amazement, and VIRN is trying to change that. We don't want people to see a person with vision impairment as amazing. We would like them to see us as anyone else in the community. We often make comments about if I fall off the dock into the water, there's a huge panic, because if they know that I can't see, they're worried. But yet if a friend of theirs falls off the dock, they tend to laugh. And we want to get to that stage where they'll laugh at my clumsiness as well. People with vision impairment probably require some of the least expensive accommodations, but often it's the type that's forgotten. And it might be something, like let's make the signs a little bit better for people. Let's make the services that your frontline staff are providing a little bit more respectful for people with vision impairment. So I see VIRN playing a very important role in that aspect.
We do fight for things that we believe in, but we do it in a very positive way. That doesn't mean that it's not straight to the point. However, here's how we can overcome it. And you have to learn, to listen to what we're saying, because we are the community.
As more legislation starts to become available nationally and provincially, we want to ensure that legislatures do this correctly and that our community is not forgotten. The unemployment rate for people with disabilities is always estimated between 70 and 80%. From what we've been able to find in Canada and around the world, the rate for people with vision impairment seems to be 80% or higher. And VIRN is hoping to have an impact on that. We're not naive enough to believe that we can change it worldwide, but we want to at least start changing it where we can. And this might be helping employers determine that, just because somebody has a vision impairment doesn't mean they can't do the job. VIRN's Peer Support Program brings people together who either have been living with vision impairment all their lives, or who are just starting to be new to vision impairment, and to give them a safe and comfortable place where they can talk about what their feelings are. And we also take that opportunity to help them be themselves. There's a tendency to want to change the language, and we always tell them, don't change the language. People sometimes feel comfortable when they say, oh, did you watch the Jets game? And then they start to stumble and say, oh, did you hear the Jets game? And I said, no, don't let people change the language, and you don't change the language. We watch TV like everybody else. We listen to the radio like everybody else.
When we first are either referred to a person who is losing their vision or has lost their vision and do a home visit, we first do call someone and talk to them on the phone a little bit to introduce ourselves. And then we do actual home visit where we find what that person used to do, what that person wants to do.
They will do things such as marking stoves, marking other appliances so that the person can start to use them again, as well as the peer-to-peer, just sitting down and talking about the natural feelings that people would have when going through a loss of sight.
Sometimes it's basically sitting with them for an hour or an hour or two and really almost holding their hand, telling them that there is a world out there for them. Do they like sport? Do they like active living? Do they love music? Do they love reading? Do they need people? Do they have people who are working in their corner? So all of those things, it's so complex. Getting them out is our biggest goal, so that they're not sitting in the four walls 24/7. That's when things go wrong.
We also help people understand that, yeah, you might need a small accommodation, but you're still who you are. You're not broken. Nothing needs to be fixed. You're still important, you're still valuable, you're still valued, and you still have value. So we help them with that, and we help them share experiences in a safe and comfortable and respectful environment.
We work really hard on public education, so our advocacy component falls under the public education.
My name is Kelly Beaverford. I'm the Department Head of Interior Design in the Faculty of Architecture at the University of Manitoba. It was in 2010, I was looking for someone to talk to interior design students about accessibility when I somehow met Doris, maybe through the CNIB at that time, and asked if she knew of someone who would come in to talk to students. And it ended up that she did so much more. She put us into contact with a whole group of people who were eager to share information and to learn with our students. That was the first big eye-opener, that the building codes are great and they're there to keep us all safe, they're really important, but they don't cover everything. They can't cover everything because accessible design is so much more than just measurements or the placement of a window or a door. It's also about understanding people. And I think that was my first impression about VIRN that told me that they were really special, and that they were willing to take the time to include public education in their mandate, but also that they cared. They cared that the students learned something. They cared that the students got it right, and they cared that the community was represented well. VIRN is incredibly agile. Because they're small, they're able to work with the people that are in front of them and address their needs. They don't have a mandate that is so strict that they're limited. So I think they're agile, and that makes them responsive. And another thing that I find different about their organization is that they're willing to change and grow as they go along. And maybe, I don't know, but that might be because it's a smaller organization and that it's a group of people that work together as peers. They're good friends. They care about each other. They're passionate about what they do. And so it's not just a job. It's really, it really comes from someplace dear in their hearts. And that's pretty unique and pretty special.
Our community will return after the break. We now return to our community.
We're growing, and we definitely have new programs that we want to deliver. We've got lots of things that we know that the community wants, because we do listen to the community. We actually have asked them for suggestions. What do they think they need? And we hope that people will support us.
I think one of the biggest challenges for VIRN over the next few years is, number one, continue and develop a sustainable funding model. We see the need out there. A lot of times we don't have the money or the resources to fulfill all the need that we see. Working with Vic and Doris has really opened my eyes as to what need is out there. I didn't realize that there are so many people out there that are isolated and not only can use our services, but are just not even aware of the alternatives that are available.
Working with Glenn and Doris, I quickly realized that all of us came through a relatively mainstream and inclusive experience. Even though our paths have not been the same, the barriers we faced and overcome are quite similar. And we have this passion for being part of society, and the two of them share my belief in that no one should be excluded from that. Even though our opinions may differ, we're very respectful of one another, and that respect for one another spills over into respect for everyone in our community, whether they have vision impairment or not. And that seems to be one of our strengths, is because people feel that, people are starting to respect us, and they respect our experiences and our opinions, and I feel that's what is helping VIRN and what is helping everyone as a whole.
I do truly believe that the community needs the inclusion. They need to live life to its fullest. I love life. Me personally, I think that I've done everything that I can to live a really healthy, active life. I want others to have that opportunity. And I know when people come into VIRN, they feel welcome. They leave with a smile on their face, knowing that somebody's there. And we're okay to even, if somebody needs a hug, we're okay with giving them a hug. It is something that VIRN is friendly, inclusive, and welcoming.
Producer Libby Lea. Director Chris Mclvor. Narrator Jim Van Horne. Director of Photography Braden Music. Camera operators Chris Mclvor, Braden Music. Editor Andrew Shire. Sound mix Howard Rissin. Integrated Describe Video Specialist Simone Cupid. Special thanks Doris Koop, Glenn Sepke, Vic Pereira. Graphics Andrew Antonello. Regional Content Specialist Jim Crisco. Coordinating Producer Jennifer Johnson. Consulting Producer Colette Vosberg. Director Production Karen Nye. Director Programming Brian Perdue. VP Programming and Production John Melville. President and CEO David Errington. Produced with the participation of Canada Media Fund. Copyright 2020 Accessible Media Inc.